Hey, what's up guys, CodeDesk here and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Last video we talked about data types and what data types do. In today's video we're going to be using those data types. We're going to be creating a simple program that prints hello world. Now before we begin we have to do some things so we can actually make our files to create hello world and output that. So I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code for this. Now, first thing I want to do is obviously open up Visual Studio Code. Now, in Visual Studio Code, you can't just create a file and run it. First thing that you have to do is get extensions that run the program and compile it. So what we have to do is that we can go over here to extensions, and the extension we need is called Python. Now we're going to get the Python extension so we can create Python files and run them. Now Python is installing, and while Python is installing we can get our second extension, which is called Code Runner. Now we need Code Runner to actually run our code. Now we can also install Code Runner, and we also have the Python, which is installed. Now a third extension I recommend, but it's not necessary, is called Prettier Code. Right here, Prettier Code Formatter. This basically just formats your code into legible and nice colors and tabs so it's easier to read. Now what we can do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a folder where I am. So what we have to do now is that I'm going to create a folder in my UT folder where I'm going to store my Python files. So I'm just going to right click, new folder, I'm going to create tutorials, right? And now I'm going to select tutorials, and then it's gonna open up my tutorial folder. Now next thing that we have to do is create a Python file. Now we can create a Python file by going over here to new file, creating, and one thing to note, while creating a Python files you need to have an extension of password. So that's basically having a .py at the end of the file. This basically says that it's a Python file and we're going to be running Python in it. And now if you have txt, that would be a text file, and JS would be a JavaScript file. Since we're doing Python, we would have a Python file, right? So py, and I'm going to just call this hello.py. Great, now we've created a file. Good. Now how do we run it? So obviously to run it we need to have some code, and in this program we're going to be creating print hello world. Now print is a Python function that outputs whatever you write, whatever input you have in it. So we can do this by saying print hello world. Now this, I'm going to show you why this code doesn't work in a second, but first we have to save it. So we can do Control S or Command S to save it. Then we can go over here to this run button and run it. Now our output, and you can see we got a syntax error. Now why is that? Now hello world, like letters, they're called strings, right? And in last tutorial I said we need to put quotations around strings, right? And basically we didn't have quotations, so it gave us a syntax error telling us that we don't have quotations. Now we can put quotations around our text and then we wouldn't have an error. Now we can run it and we get hello world, no error. Now you can also have single quotations, like I said before in our last tutorial. We can have single quotations, we save our program, we run it, and we still get hello world. Now, another way to run this is that you can use the command prompt. So you can go to your Files Explorer or YouTube tutorials. Now, one easy way to get Files Explorer is just to click here, CMD. Oops. You can just do cm command, and then this basically just puts you into that directory that you have in your folders. Right? Now to run this, what we can do is that we have to use Python extension, Python word. Then we just have to type in our file name and plus the top file. Now, if we press enter, we get, press enter, we get hello world, as you can see. Now, what else can you have in the print function? Well, you can also have numbers in the print functions. So if you did print 100, it will output 100. So we can save this, we can run, and then we get 100. Now, what other things can you do with this print function? Well, you can subtract. You can do 10 minus 1, which would get us 9. You can do 10 plus 1, save this, and we get 11. Now, another thing that Python can do is multiply. So, we can multiply 10 times 2, save this file, obviously, multiply, we get 20, and obviously we can divide 10 by 2, and we'll get 5. Boom. And division is always a float. Blah, blah, blah. Now guys, that was it for today's tutorial. Hope you guys learned something, and make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any concerns or comments.